Well, good morning or good afternoon to you, depending on where you might be joining us from here today. Thank you so much for spending the next hour with us to explore what you need to consider when you're selecting a new accounting and business management software for your business, and also, of course, an introduction to Spire. Just before we get started, I'm going to ask you to confirm that you can see my introduction slide and hear my voice clearly. There's a virtual hand on your GoToWebinar panel that you can go ahead and raise. Thank you, Greg and Dominic and Elizabeth. That's wonderful. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to lower your virtual hands. Great. So I'm Katie Griffin. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Spire, and I will be joined by my colleague Warren Flett, who is our Product Information Specialist, in just a little bit. And Warren will dive into Spire to give you an introductory overview. There's a lot going on in Spire, so we can't cover everything in this hour, but hopefully you'll see some things that speak to you to resolve some of the challenges you might be currently facing. So we'll spend a bit of time talking about who Spire is, what we are as an organization, where we're from. We'll jump into where we fit in the market if you are considering other applications. That's good to know. As I said, my friend Warren will give us a demonstration of Spire as well. And I'll touch on some of the aspects that you need to consider beyond just Spire or software functionality if you are indeed shopping for a new accounting software solution for your business. I have been speaking to people who have been shopping for software for about 20 years now, and I've narrowed it down to four main categories. There's, of course, a lot to consider, but four main categories to help get you going during your software procurement journey. And of course, we'll leave you with a ballpark estimate of what a Spire investment might look like for your organization. So let's get things started. I think it's important now more than ever to point out that Spire is a Canadian owned and operated company. Our headquarters are in Langley, British Columbia. Our staff is all in-house staff. Some of us work remotely throughout the country. Sometimes we're out of the country, but all hired in-house staff. So that means we don't outsource any of our programming to other companies. And that's good to know in the space of technology here today. I also want to share with you that Spire was founded by two industry veterans. So industry being software solutions. Al Romaine, our CEO, and Peter Reimer, our COO, started Spire about 10 years ago. But before that, had been accounting software and business management consultants themselves. So working with businesses like yours for implementing solutions to solve some of the needs that they have. So good idea of what business needs are. And I have the pleasure of working with some wonderful minds at Spire every day. Our leadership team is made of young directors that are also stakeholders, as well as our co-founders. I get to work with not just great QA and development and customer service team, but also with a channel of certified and authorized partners that help Spire continue to be a healthy company and progressive company. And that channel of certified partners are required to maintain and obtain their accreditation throughout the course of the year with knowledge as to what's new in our software, different integrations that fit in, problems that our economy faces that reflect on your business or impact your business. These certified consultants are there to help you use Spire to help you address those kinds of things. And we have over 80 certified Spire firms throughout Canada, the US, and recently in the Caribbean as well, which I like to point out. But it's important to know the kind of company behind the software a little bit. Why? Well, you are making an investment into a new system for your business. This is not like buying a pair of shoes, as you know. And so knowing a little bit about the company, Canadian in-house staff, progressive technology, contemporary technology behind the software is important for you to know the company is healthy and continues to grow year after year. So does our authorized channel. And so you want to know a little bit about, the company you're investing in before you go ahead and buy their software. So I'm happy to share that with you. Now, if you're joining us here today, you're likely in the market for a new system, accounting software and business management, ERP. And if you're sitting here with us today, then you're maybe like some of our customers that before they came to us, they were challenged by things like inability to properly calculate costs on inventory, inability to properly track inventory, maybe not even tracking inventory at all and just dumping debit and credit details into a ledger somewhere. Or maybe they're working off of an entry level application with spreadsheets to manage their inventory in addition to that entry level like QuickBooks or Sage 50, because while those are great, you definitely hit a capacity when it comes to inventory management with entry level products. Or maybe you have several systems, and this is what we call siloed systems in the industry that are each providing a separate function for your business. Now, that could be accounting, payroll, inventory, sales, servicing, manufacturing, but they're all not really talking to each other, and you're required to do a sync, or you're required to do an import, or even worse, manually be entering information into your accounting system. So maybe you suffered from these things. Maybe you're dealing with an antiquated system that's no longer being developed, or something that was overkill for you and really cost your organization too much money, and you could probably do very well with something less expensive and less bells and whistles, let's say. So wherever you're coming to us from, if you've experienced anything like this or whatever else, know that you're not alone at all, and that it is important to do your due diligence when looking for new software. Our clients today are pretty much made up of inventory-driven businesses. That's who Spire is written for. And whether that is wholesale distribution or light manufacturing, I like to say that our clients either make the thing, sell the thing, or fix the thing, right? The service of equipment, service of delivery or landscaping often we'll see as well, garden stores, flooring stores for equipment in doing renovations, HVAC, food and beverage, of course, medical equipment. So a variety of different businesses, regardless of where they come from, tend to be inventory driven and also tend to have one thing in common where they don't want to break the bank. We talk about mid-market a lot and a mid-sized business a lot, and that requires a mid-sized software. But in the industry, there aren't very many solutions that are offered in that mid-market space. You'll often be looking at, again, some of those entry-level products, which may have served a company well when they first started their business venture, but have outgrown that, and then being forced to look at much larger ERP-like solutions that come with a heavy price tag, and again, sometimes overkill in functionality. Spire really does fit very nicely in the middle. And it isn't always so much about how much money your company generates, about how much revenue your company generates, but rather the complexity of your transactions, the complexity of your processes. That's really more what it's about, and needing flexibility to be able to adapt to some of those processes, whether it be price management, inventory, sales complexity, phases, manufacturing. And so this is where we are in the mid-market, and you'll see that it's quite competitive in terms of what Spire has to offer with functionality and bang for your buck, which I'll talk about pricing a little bit later. In the Spire world, you have options, which is also quite rare in terms of the solutions that are out there for you today. At Spire, we don't believe in dictating how you purchase or how you deploy your software. Most software developers today are pushing towards one model, which is the cloud subscription only. And it's not that that doesn't work for everyone, but it doesn't work for everyone, right? And so purchasing the software is an option that you have in the Spire world. You can own the Spire license, which means it's a one-time payment with an annual fee every year to maintain the software's fixes and new versions and payroll, of course, if you're on that. But you can choose to purchase Spire right out. You can also choose to subscribe to Spire. And what's unique in our world is that you can subscribe to Spire while having an on-premise solution. So it can still be running off of your local server, and you're paying month by month for that. So in other words, we're not mutually exclusive to cloud when you're looking at subscription, although we do provide cloud as well. And I'll get into the different ways you can deploy Spire in just a little bit. But for now, why don't I turn it over to Warren and he can jump into Spire, the application itself, and give you a nice overview. Warren will share about 25 minutes of his time with us, and I'll come back on just after that to give you more information. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie, and hello, everyone. I'm glad that you can take some time from your busy schedule to join us today. For my section of this webinar, I would like to provide a collection of demonstrations, starting with a tour through Spire that includes showing general features and a customer sales process, followed by their selected key features. In the time we have today, let's take a dive into the Spire experience. Perhaps you are a sales entry person, taking customer orders. When you log into Spire, you can choose from any number of company databases to open, and are not limited to one company dataset per license. You may also choose to configure your accounting to include a location value that is included on sales and purchase orders, so that revenue and expense accounting can be tracked by location. After signing on, you may receive pop-up alerts regarding important information or transactions that have become due, assigned to you through communications. Not only can you see the alerts, but you can also view them to open additional external attachments or websites, or mark the task as completed, or open the related record and be taken directly to the record or transaction where the note was assigned. Notes that aren't yet due can still be seen and read from the Communications module, from either the entire list or narrowed down using predefined record filters to a more focused group of notes, such as those just for you today or this week or from a specific module. Outstanding notes for the company can be seen more visually from the Calendar module, where each communication appears as a link within the daily slot, and those assigned to each user display in different colors. You can use any of these notes access methods as your to-do list for the day or week and ensure that nothing gets missed, and mark off each job when done. If you regularly need to visit certain websites throughout the day, perhaps your company homepage or online ordering, or a cloud-based application for internal communications or email, a built-in Chromium browser can be used for accessing multiple websites, simply by defining URLs either for the entire company or just for you. When you're ready to get to work, you can open the module you need to see the list of records or transactions, such as customers, purchase orders, or sales orders in a grid. You can display the information in columns that's most important to you, or hide information that just gets in the way, and position columns to organize it all in the way you need. Then, you can make modifications to anything you see, or create something new. While creating an order, typing into selection fields will prompt you with more choices than just codes that start with this, but also records that contain this in other key fields, to make it easier to find the record you want. After selecting the code, you may receive an alert warning you about a condition or scenario before you get too far into the entry. Data entry is expedited by the ability to add records directly within the grid, and use the keyboard to navigate throughout. Tab through the columns and make edits where necessary. Look up other codes using keyboard shortcuts, and choose them without having to use the mouse and slow you down. Include completing the line entry and start a new one. You can set up inventory items in different ways in order to make entry more efficient and reliable. Items can be configured with additional accessories that are always included so they are not forgotten. Any items on sales orders that have a selling margin lower than a chosen minimum can be identified immediately, and perhaps the selling price be modified to solve the situation. Items can be defined as kits, which are in fact collections of other items sold together, that can be modified or removed as part of the ordered item set, and displayed at the kit or component level. Items can be defined to require serial numbers or lot numbers assigned to the sale, if you are required to track this information for reporting or potential tracing. When entering an item that happens to be out of stock, you can choose to redirect the sale to an alternate item if one has been set, or set the quantity for this item to be backordered. For backordered items, you can create a requisition transaction directly from the sales order, requesting a purchase to be made to fulfill this backorder, or if allowed, to process the purchase order yourself and assign the PO number to the backordered item. When the order entry is complete, you can save the order for future processing, perhaps with requirements to have over-credit customers or under-margin sales approved. Or if you are allowed, process the sales order now to creating a picking list for the warehouse and ready the order for shipping, or set the order to the next phase of your customizable sales order workflow. Shipped orders can have the tracking number entered and enable a direct link to the shipment provider's website for up-to-date shipping information. Perhaps you are a sales manager responsible for approving and processing sales orders, with rights for creating customer invoices. You can find out which orders are ready for processing by using a filter to focus down the list to just those you need to see. Or if you only need to find that one certain order from a large list, and maybe you don't have the order number or customer code to easily look for it, the smart search box can be used to search for sales orders for many informational fields at once, like name, city, contact, item description, alert notes, and more. Editing an order for a customer with an active alert will show a warning prompt at the top, which can be viewed or dismissed. Editing an order with backordered item stock now available to ship will prompt you on screen, so you don't have to guess or check whether or not the order can be fulfilled. You can even set the items as shipped from the prompt itself, or use the Fill Backorders feature for all or selected items. As part of the order entry process, you may need to find out more before processing or shipping. You don't have to close the order and then locate the other information of interest. Instead, it may easily be available within the order. See other open orders for this customer listed, and even drill down to see the details, maybe to check for ordering patterns or duplication. Use sales history to check what you've charged this customer in the past for the items on just this order. Or open the customer inventory item records directly from the order. For categorizing or tracking orders, you can either increment or set the order phase, or set the order status to processed or shipped in order to best accommodate your workflow procedures. You can also create any number of user-definable fields to store any information not already available for entry, to assist you in maintaining or classifying records. When the order has been shipped and a customer invoice can be generated, this can be done easily. As allowed from security and customer terms, change the customer's credit limit, or take a payment with the invoice, or post the invoice to the customer's account for future payment, perhaps with a credit authorization override required for customers over their limit, or having other old and unpaid invoices. Perhaps you are the staff person responsible for processing back-end accounting. When you log into Spire, in addition to alerts assigned to you, you may also see any recurring receivables or payables transactions that are due to be processed. View, edit, or post the monthly utility or phone bill as a new vendor invoice, or create the entry for a customer pre-authorized debit directly from this pop-up screen. When you wish to take a customer payment for outstanding invoices, you can look for them either from the complete customer list or from the list of customers that have any open accounts receivable. Open the customer and select each invoice to be paid. You can highlight an invoice to investigate if there is something you want to verify prior to assigning the payment. Then choose to pay the selections and generate a payment receipt if desired, and post the payment for the customer, followed by the receipt printout or email. And when it comes time for generating financial reports in the general ledger, you may want to or need to analyze transactions posted to the chart of accounts. This can be easy to accomplish by listing the posted transactions in a grid, perhaps filter to those for a specific fiscal period or group of accounts, and then export the grid contents to an Excel file for external investigation. Or highlight a specific entry and view either the complete balanced entry or even view the source subledger transaction from where this entry came from. For the rest of today's demonstration, let's take a closer look at a few features in Spire in a little more detail. Inventory item records are maintained not only to store pricing and physical information, but also allow for defining specialized sales order preferences and tracking, and exploring historical purchase and sales transactions. Some information of typical interest can be found on the Details tab for purchasing costs and accounting, and the Prices and Units tab for additional prices and how item units are stored and sold. In addition, the Sales Tax Exceptions tab allow you to specify tax exemptions for your region, and the UPC tab allows configuring UPC codes for scanning barcodes in various transactions. And the Accessories tab allows defining additional items to automatically be sold alongside this item when added to a sales order. There are many ways an inventory item can be configured that affects how items are purchased, sold, and tracked, in addition to the normal item type. A manufactured item is created from a group of raw material items determined on the Bill of Materials tab, which are consumed when this item is manufactured. A kitted item represents a collection of other inventory items defined on the Kit Components tab, which can be modified when added to a sales order. A macro item isn't technically an item at all, but a code that represents one or more inventory items defined on the Macro Substitutions tab that are instead added to sales or purchase orders when the macro item is selected. This can also be useful if an item is discontinued and the replacement is set as the macro substitution. Items can be chosen to store either serial numbers for each individual quantity on hand, visible from the Serial Numbers tab, or lot numbers assigned to groups of quantities, trackable from the Lot Numbers tab. Labels can be printed either for individual items or for warehouse bins or shelves as single labels. In addition to item information, you can also see outstanding and historical purchase orders and sales orders where this item exists, or movement of this item quantity across all transaction types. In all of these transaction list grids, you can double-click any of them to drill down and open the transaction screen. If you wish to make an identical change to a number of items, from the Inventory Item List grid, you can select multiple items, either consecutive or not, and click the Edit button to invoke the Group Edit Inventory window. From here, certain settings or default values can be set here and then applied to all selected inventory. Standard pricing is determined when editing inventory items. On the Details tab, the usual price for each stocking unit of measure is entered here, allowing you to see what the expected sales margins will be with the associated costs. The product code defined here can have a minimum margin assigned to assist in warning against or preventing selling at a price too low to meet this margin. On the Prices and Units tab, there are additional prices you can configure. The pricing area lists all the defined price levels for this item, from the levels you create and maintain. Price levels are named for reference and clarity, can be assigned to a specific currency, and can be set as the main price for the currency. Price levels can be assigned to customers on their billing or shipping addresses for default pricing. The main base currency level is linked to the price on the Details tab, and sell prices can be edited directly in the grid, or calculated from a specified margin or markup over cost. You can have selling prices for alternate units of measure by highlighting the desired unit above, which reveals rows calculated from the stocking unit and respective price factors. Or you can create levels specific for this unit. This could be useful if you offer a price break when multiple quantity is sold. When prices change, you can assign an effective date for when the new price is to be used on sales orders, and optionally an end date if this is for a temporary price change. Having price levels across multiple effective dates allow maintaining a price history, and you can choose to suppress either historical or future prices to see just current prices. And you can disable the discountable option on items to remove the ability of reducing the selling price of items on sales orders with discounts. Because pricing changes typically occur over large volumes of inventory records, inventory sell prices can be listed on a separate tab for all items, for inquiry, or for exporting. You may also highlight multiple prices for any selection of inventory or levels, and use the change price process to either update the prices of selected levels or create new price levels based on these selections. Price levels can also be imported. Each imported record is also related to a particular unit of measure and price level, and records are created or updated depending on whether the effective date already exists. When editing an inventory record, the secondary inventory type field to allow lot numbers will be editable. Choose lot numbered to indicate that lot numbers are used for this item, and an additional setting for how they are consumed, either from a manual choice or automatically from a specific sequence. Then you can track values from the Lot Numbers tab. This screen lists all lot numbers that have been added to this inventory, either through purchasing, producing, transferring, or other moving of this item. Each line refers to a group of items in any value that were purchased or produced together. You can see the usage status in the top grid with values pending receipt, on hand, available, or committed, and it is possible for a portion to be committed and a remaining quantity still available. In the bottom grid is a list of transactions that have been posted for this item and the associated lot numbers used. You can highlight one or more lot numbers in the top grid in order to display only the respective transactions with these lots. Both lists support filtering and searching. When creating a sales order that has lot numbered inventory, and you want to set the shipped quantity value either on the detail line, using the Fill Order tab, or from the Serial Numbers button, the list of available numbers will appear for selection if the Serialize on Receipt option is enabled. Each selected lot number represents a particular group of quantity shipped, and it is possible to edit the allocated quantity across one or more lots for the shipment. Lot numbers can also be selected to ship by scanning a barcode. After transactions involving a lot number are posted, there are multiple ways to locate them. One way is to edit the inventory record if the specific item is known, and open the Lot Number tab. Then highlight the lot number in question, which will list just those transactions when this lot number was purchased, sold, or used in production. This transaction list is also available for a single highlighted lot from the Trace button. This screen not only lists transactions, but also allows you to expand production history components to show the manufactured inventory where this item was used, and the transactions for these, such as sales or transfers. The lot tracing report can be used to print the same results of this tracing screen. If you are unsure of the inventory code related to the lot number, you can use the search box on lists associated with inventory to locate it, such as the inventory list, sales orders or history items, or purchase orders or history items. When the lot number is entered into the search box, the record where it is found will be displayed. To create a new recurring order, start a new order and change the type to Open Standing Order. Or when you create the new order from the plus button, you can select the standing order type. In either case, if you have user security access to do so. You can configure standing orders to have a separate document number sequence in company settings. Standing orders have the repeat field active for determining how often this order gets invoiced. You can choose from daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly, or pick a custom repeat cycle with more flexibility. Everything except the custom cycle gets repeated based on the initial order date. With custom, not only do you pick the cycle frequency, but also which specific day of the week, day, or month, how often, and if there is an ending date for this recurrence. The default repeat value can be assigned within company settings. For the order details, you can have non-inventory items like labor or annual maintenance plans, or inventory items as well. If any inventory items are backordered, they would be skipped when shipping and invoicing, so you must ensure that you have stock on hand to fulfill standing orders with inventory items. Often with standing orders, you would not bother with the steps to process and ship, as they are assumed to be authorized, unless you have warehouse procedures that must be followed. When you post the invoice, either on account or with a payment included, this creates the general ledger transaction as usual, and you can print or email the invoice. However, the standing order remains uncompleted and is not moved to sales history. The next invoice date increments to the next cycle value, either the next week or month or so on. Inventory items have both shipped and back-ordered quantities reset to 0. Non-inventory items keep their quantity shipped values intact. For higher volumes of standing orders and invoices, it is more efficient to do this from the order list, rather than editing each order one by one and posting invoices. To determine which standing orders require invoicing, you could use a filter to display only orders with the standing document type, along with selection criteria based on the invoice date. If your list of orders only contains non-inventory items where quantity in stock is not a concern, you can highlight the group of orders in the grid, either consecutive or not, and click the Invoice button. After confirming that you want to create these invoices, you will be warned if any customers are over their credit limit, and you can proceed or bypass that order, depending on your user security setting for invoicing over-limit customers. For posted invoices, you can then print or email the invoice forms and generate the transactions in accounting. Each order has the next invoice date calculated and updated based on each respective repeat cycle value. The Spire web application is browser-based, rather than through an app that you have to download and install and keep current. Apps are typically less safe than a secure browser connection, and you should log into Spire using the HTTPS prefix to ensure security. A common process to perform within the web app on your device is to create a new sales order. From the menu at the top left, and under the Sales drop-down, choose Orders to bring up the same list that can be seen from the desktop application. You may want to rotate your device in order to see more columns and scroll through them to view. With particular user security configured, it is possible to limit the displayed sales orders and customers related to a specific salesperson, if that level of security around sales is required. If you have access to multiple companies, you can select a different one from the drop-down list at the top. Press the Create Order button to bring up a new entry form. For customer selection, you can either type in the customer number or other identifying information, or open the customer list screen where you can use a search to locate the customer when there are more possible records for determination. However you locate and select the customer, information will be loaded from the record into the sales order. If there is anything about the customer you need to inquire about, there is a Customer button at the top, which will create a separate browser tab and load the record. Customers have lots of information available, so you may need to scroll in order to locate the data, such as the credit limit or outstanding invoice totals. When you are finished, use the regular web browser procedures to close this inquiry window and return to the sales order. The Items section allows you to select inventory in a similar fashion, either through typing or searching. And then you can indicate the quantity ordered, either a default value of 1 or change to a different value. Quantities and prices are displayed, and additional order detail information can be viewed or edited as user security allows. The Stock subsection allows showing current quantities on hand, or opening the inventory record in a separate browser tab if other information inquiry is required, in the same way as for customers. When entry is complete for what you have access to, you can then save the order. It gets added to the order list, not only visible from your device, but also for desktop users that have company access to sales orders when they refresh the list screen. And that's our look at some of the many features in Spire, and there's so much more. Back to you, Katie.
Thanks, Warren. There is so much more. And if we had all day, we still wouldn't be able to cover absolutely everything that you can do in Spire. So, Warren, thanks for that. I hope folks that gave you an overview of what Spire can do and maybe has met some of the challenges that you're currently facing with your solution. A little bit about our history as well. You may or may not know that many of our Spire clients have come to us from an older product that no longer was being supported by Sage called Sage Business Vision. And we still are today the most organic upgrade path from that legacy software. There's really no one else on the market that can bring over that data for you from Sage BV over to Spire. The very familiar learning curve with that. So if there's anyone in the audience today that is still with BV using that, we're still here. We're ready to help you move over to Spire, and we have the data conversion tool built right into Spire for that. We also built a data conversion tool for those who are running QuickBooks Desktop. If you're coming from that entry-level world of QuickBooks and you're still running a desktop version that they are no longer selling it into it anymore, we can also bring over your QuickBooks Desktop data over to Spire. Usually people who are coming to us from that world, again, have reached a capacity with inventory management and it's become unmanageable for them. But regardless of what software you may be coming from, our certified consultants work with you and have been doing this for years in terms of bringing data over from your existing software over to your new Spire or whoever you might be using. These professionals are familiar with data mapping, with data conversion, and they'll have a realistic conversation with you about how much data are you bringing over or should you bring over? And what is the integrity of that data? How clean is it? How consistent and concise is it? Are there naming conventions that are mismatched all over the place? So when you are on the software procurement journey, there's the software selection part of it itself, and then there's the implementation that you work with a professional on, and part of that is that data migration. So wherever you might be coming from, our partners have worked with some of these names that you see on your screen here and others to help get you going in Spire. Regardless of what solution you pick today, not one of them does everything, right? There's very industry specific software out there that tends to be quite good for industry specific needs, car dealerships, things like that, let's say, okay? But often the industry specific solutions will lack some fundamental aspects of an accounting and business management software. But regardless of what you're picking today, again, there's not one solution that's going to do everything for you based on industry requirements that you may have or particular processes that you have within your own organization that are quite unique. We have a full channel of integration solutions in the Spire world that allow the opportunity to enhance your Spire experience based on those niche requirements that you have. And that's easily done so in the Spire world through Spire's API, our application programming interface. And that really is just a term that basically means we can play well with other programs that are written in different languages. We can understand those languages, allowing those programs to connect in real time. And it also means that there are places in Spire where you can reach data not restricted to just one module. So through the API, you have a lot of power in Spire to either make it connect to a product you may need because of a specific requirement you have, or an enhancement to Spire. We have warehouse management solutions for large and complex multi-location warehouses. We have integrated credit card processors. We have EDI, several EDI solutions when we talk about food distribution and other distribution businesses that are working with big box stores like a Loblaws, Canadian Tire, Walmart, etc. EDI is a very real thing for them. We also have OCR, receipt and document scanning, feeding into accounts payables as well. That's a nice payment automation. Power BI, Microsoft Power BI as well, does have a connector into Spire, allowing for some nice uh, analytics and deeper analytics for that, along with CRMs and order automation. I mean, the list goes on. So there's a lot of enhancements there for you if you're looking for just a little bit of a bump in a feature, or again, something that's quite specific to you. So the options, again, I touched on this a little earlier, are the on-premise solution for Spire that can live on your server and your workstations. Very classic, traditional, what we call LAN model of software deployment. We also offer cloud hosting with Spire. This is not browser-based hosting. This is a connection to a privately hosted environment where your Spire license can live. And so you can avoid additional costs of hardware like a new server or beefed up workstations if you're looking at something like the cloud. There's a lot of reasons for cloud. It's not just remote access anymore. There's a lot of reasons, and a consultant can examine why you're interested in the cloud and see if that's what's best for you. And as you saw, we also have the browser-based web for Spire, which you can access from any mobile device, whether it's an iPad or an Android or an iPhone. This is done through the browser. As you saw, it has a different interface than your desktop Spire, but it connects with your desktop Spire. So if you have sales reps that are on the road, this is a really handy tool to allow them to either place orders if you want them to do so, or even not have to call you and say, hey, how much of this do we have in inventory, right? Whatever you want your salespeople or road warriors to be doing, this works really, really nicely for that and is included in your annual software assurance for Spire. Okay, so it's a really nice feature to have. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4 areas of software selection that you need to think about as someone who's in their procurement journey. Um, it's really just very basic, and a few points that I want you to walk away with. And the first one that we talk about really is technology, right? And so what does that mean? What should you be considering about technology? Is it current? Is the software solution that you're looking at contemporary and current? You may be coming off of a legacy software. You don't necessarily want to be jumping into another legacy program that isn't being developed or maintained with contemporary functionalities, right? Technology as well. Do you have options in terms of cloud or on-premise or mobile applications like I talked about earlier? And what kind of progressive development does the company have? Are they only maintaining status quo? Are they actively listening to their users and their partners to implement features and changes in the software that they want to see? And also for technology, how's that user interface, right? Is it something that your team can wrap their head around? Is it something that is a modern display? Is it something that offers clarity for your team to absorb, right? Because your team is important and you don't want them to be bogged down with where is this and how do I do that? A reasonable learning curve in terms of the technology that you're going to adopt, whether it's how it's deployed, how it's used, how it's built, those are all very real for you. The second aspect that I want you to think about is productivity. And when we talk about productivity, I think the first thing we think about is, of course, I'm looking for a new software that's going to help my people and my team be more productive. Yes, you're not looking to be less productive, of course. So it's not just what the goal is with the new software, but it's also during the implementation phase. And a consultant will work with you on that. Least disruption to your business is the goal when implementing a new ERP solution or a new system. And so how much more productive are you going to be, but how productive are you going to be during the implementation process? And you want to talk to the consultants about that. And of course, what kind of features and functionalities exist in the technology that you are evaluating that will help you be more productive? Is it multilingual, multi-user, unlimited warehouses, for example? Is there communications and calendars and tasks that can be used in kind of workflow processes to help your team more productive? So, productivity on a few different fronts is an area that you'll want to think about. The next one is the features, and we just talked about some of that, but also what kind of functionalities exist, not just by bells and whistles and fancy things in the software, but at its core for your accounting department. What kind of accounting functions within the ledger and the subledgers of payables and receivables and bank reconciliation are important. Being able to download and quickly upload a bank statement and auto match for bank rec is a really nice feature. Maybe that's important for your accounting department. Your sales department, we talked a little bit about the mobile application, but what else does your sales department need to be equipped with? Are they handling returns as well as sales? Are there different phases within your sales processes? Do you not sell the same thing the same way at the same price to the same person all the time, right? And so what kind of functionalities and features exist to help you manage that? And then reporting is also very important for an organization. And whether those are quick ad hoc reports with the filters that you saw on the grid earlier when Warren was demonstrating, or custom reports that need to be built out, or Microsoft Power BI for a high level overview with visual dashboards. What kind of reporting are you looking for, and what's available to you from that aspect of features and functionalities? And then the last little part I want you to think about is the value. And I think when we talk about value, that could mean several things. But one, how valuable is it to you to have options for deployment, for purchasing? How valuable is it to you that the license model of the software allows you to own the software and to incrementally add one at a time a user, as opposed to having to buy in bulk or at a threshold? Often in subscriptions, we see thresholds of not just users, but data consumption or power or number of transactions even. So is that valuable to you, that there's flexibility there, that the product is scalable with you? You may be just starting to need more inventory management power, better price management, serial and lot tracking. But you may not need a depth of what some of the software has to offer to you today. Well, you have to think about the value over the course of 5 years as your business is going to grow. Is that software going to be able to keep up with you? So that form of scalability is very important for you to think of as well. And then I think another very valuable point is what kind of resources does the software offer to you in terms of training, in terms of troubleshooting, whether that is through a certified authorized partner like we have in the Spire world, online academies, webinars, in-person events, opportunities for you to think outside of the box and how you could be better using your software. We all get stuck in the minutia like things day to day and sometimes don't get to think about how we can do something better because we've just got to get those orders out. Well, having resources to review and learn from is very, very important. And ROI value, very simple. Probably what you think about first and foremost is how much is this going to cost me and when am I going to see a return on that investment? And those are conversations, again, you should have with a certified consultant. So those are the 4 areas, folks, that I want you to think about. If you look in the handouts section of your GoToWebinar panel, I have a PDF of those 4 points you need to consider when you're on your software procurement journey. So you should be able to download that from the handout section in your GoToWebinar panel. So let me leave you as we get close to the 10-minute mark here with what a Spire investment looks like for you. So you heard me talk about the different ways of purchasing and deployment. If you wanted to purchase Spire outright, it starts in the $7,500 range. Okay, that's a one-time payment. And then you have an annual fee every year that provides you fixes for known issues. It provides you new features and functionality. It provides you that mobile application that we saw earlier. It provides you that Power BI connector and a few other really nice features when you maintain your annual software assurance. But it's a one upfront time payment for the software and a small fee every year after that. You can also subscribe, as we talked about. That starts in the $350 per month range. And of course, whether you're buying outright or subscription, as you add a user license, the cost incrementally increases. So we do offer cloud as well, as I said earlier, and that is a hosting fee of $100 a month is where that starts. So a lot of options for you to discuss with a Spire partner about which deployment and which pricing model is best for you. If you don't have a Spire partner yet, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. I'll be sharing my email address in just a little bit with you. I'm happy to give you a no obligation discovery call. We can talk about what your needs are and how Spire can help you with that. I can jump into the software a little bit and really spend some more one-on-one time with you. If you'd like, it would be my pleasure. Like I said, I've been doing this a long time and it's kind of fun. So a couple of things before we leave. If you are in Canada and will be this fall, we are hosting our Spire open houses starting in September and ending in beginning of November. So if you're going to be in one of these fine 5 cities, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Langley, British Columbia, Montreal, Quebec, Mississauga, Ontario, and London, Ontario, myself and a few of my colleagues, along with some of our integration partners, will be hosting these open houses where you can learn about Spire. We'll be sharing tips and tricks on how to use Spire throughout the course of your workday. We'll be showing new features and what's been released in the last year of Spire as well. Maybe share a few things about what's to come in the Spire world, and you'll get to talk to people who are using Spire and really see what their experience has been like. So I think it's a nice opportunity for you. You can find that information on our website under events if you're interested in attending. And if you are interested in purchasing Spire, I don't know where you might be in your procurement journey yet, but if you're close to considering Spire, want you to know that I do have some discounts offered for you. If you are coming from QuickBooks Desktop to Spire, we will give you $1,000 off your purchase of Spire. Okay, it's not for QuickBooks Online, but if you're considering leaving QuickBooks Desktop, we're happy to give you that discount. And we also have a subscribe to buy program. So as I said, subscription starts at about $350 a month. And if towards the end of the first year, you decide I'd like to purchase Spire, we will credit you back the last 3 months of your subscription towards your purchase. Okay. And last but not least, I know in my role, because I get to see tons of data come through our way about who's inquiring and who's using Spire, that our biggest referral is existing customers. If you're evaluating Spire, you may or may not have heard about us from a vendor, a customer, a friend, somebody like that. And so we want to reward those involved for referring our business. You know, in your business, word of mouth is the best one, and the same is true at Spire. So if you're an existing customer and you want to refer someone to us, we will give you $500 off your software assurance fee every on the first year that they purchase. Okay, the referred person purchases. And if you are new to Spire and are thinking about purchasing it and you were referred by somebody, we'll also give you $500 off your purchase of Spire. So it's a nice reward on each end for the referrer and the referee, not to be confused with referee. I'm going to close off with just a short video from our co-founders. We got to make this video a few years ago at conference, obviously for promotional purposes, but it was important to us that our clients and our prospective clients get a sense of who we are as a company and why we created Spire. And so we had a lot of fun putting this together. I'll leave that with you for now, and then my email address will be available just after. Thanks so much.
The quality of software is very important, because if you don't maintain that quality and you make a sale to a customer for your software and they're not happy with something goes wrong, their reputation is harmed. So the quality has to be stellar. My name is Al Romaine, and I'm a CEO of Spire Systems.
Our first hope for Spire was to solve business problems. We saw that there were significant needs that businesses had that weren't available, and we had a passion for helping businesses do things better, be more efficient. We saw a space for what we could provide. My name is Peter Reimer. I work for Spire Systems, and I'm the Chief Operations Officer.
Our hopes for Spire when we founded it was to be able to have a great mid-range product that businesses could afford and not have to pay these exorbitant amounts for these high-end systems, or the fact they've probably outgrown a lot of smaller systems, and we needed to fit a niche in there that would fit for the kind of small, medium-sized businesses. And we wanted it to be great software, even though it was not as pricey as some of the high-end stuff out there.
I feel that Spire has become successful because we understand that we only create the software. We work together with a partner channel to bring the product to the market, work with the companies that are using Spire to bring everything back full circle, respond to what the needs of the Spire community is. None of this would have worked with us alone.
We've created a set of core values that we've asked everybody who works for us and everybody who sells our software to abide by. And that happens. It just is great. We hire by it and we write our software by it, and we stick to those core values. Sustainable.
Progressive.
Integrity.
Respect.
And excellence.
And thank you again, everyone. There you go. My email address is on the screen here for you, kgriffin@spiresystems.com. If you would like to have a no obligation chat with me about your business and how Spire might be able to help you, it would be my pleasure. Go ahead and send me an email, or feel free to check out our website. Again, you'll find the open houses and other webinars that we've got, www.spiresystems.com. Thank you again for sharing your time with me today. I wish you all well, be well, stay healthy, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. Bye-bye.